sure we're going to learn a lot. You've all heard it for months on end as the governor was going around promoting his budget. Workforce and the development of our workforce is a big, big investment and a key issue for the next years, not just throughout the next couple administrations who may come and go, but in the next couple decades. So happy to hear all the ideas discussed there.
Great, thank you. All right, so starting panel discussions, we were adjourning at 2:30, correct? Okay, so maybe what we'll do is we'll chat for a half hour with panel discussion and then start some interactive questions or something like that in the group. So, and people, the panel, feel free to chime in as you want. Let me start with this question. What is the panel's overall assessment of the workforce in our region?
I would say as far as technical college enrollment, our enrollment generally reflects the economy. So when the economy goes down, our enrollment goes up. We probably spiked about 3 years ago. People were going back to school. A lot of them were funded to go back to school, but since then, all the technical colleges, and there's 6 in Wisconsin, Waukesha is probably the 4th largest. What we've seen since then is our enrollment is tapering off, and you can interpret that various ways. In many cases, you've all heard that people have given up looking for work. In other cases, people have found work. And I will say for a student to attend WCTC or any technical college, money should not be an issue because we do have grants, loans, and financial aid for just anybody can qualify. And again, talking about going to a university for 4 years and having debt, our credits is $125 per credit. That's probably about 20% of the actual cost, so attending a technical college is a good way to get involved in the trades. And again, for us at the technical college is to help you when you have somebody that applies that doesn't have any experience. That's what we do at the technical colleges. We'll be glad to have them.
I see it's interesting in following up with Bill a little bit. I see this, I'm pretty big into the manufacturing world across the state of Wisconsin. And I see a very, very similar trend. And I'm just a believer, and I've seen a lot of different conferences from the state level, the national level, in that just that educating of that person, whether it's the parent or the kid, that these jobs are actually out there. I have 30 students that work in the area, Waukesha County, and I have it in what I call my internship program. So every day at 1 o'clock, my kids are released. And they're released, they stay with me on Mondays, and we go through this program. But yet they're released on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday to go work for these different companies. I have kids that are at Generac and Ace Precision, and a lot of these different variety of areas. I have had some students in the past that really want a trade type position, and I can never find it. I know Scott talked to Scott a number of different times in the past couple of years about trying to get kids involved in that. I went to a place called Midwest Composites about 6 months ago, and I had asked Helmut Keidel there, I asked him why he doesn't have any of our students in his internship program. He walks me over to his HR and he says, hey, why don't we have any Arrowhead students? And she said, because of the child labor laws. Immediately, I gave her some paperwork and I said, hey, by the way, did you realize that the state of Wisconsin last year, I think it was, actually, I don't want to say they lifted these rules, but they modified these rules to allow kids to have more manufacturing types of on-the-job training skills in these internship type positions. So I teamed up pretty significantly here this year and for sure next year with WCTC in their youth apprenticeship program. The youth apprenticeship program in the state of Wisconsin, when I started teaching back in '92, was very, 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 very detailed in terms of what specific companies needed to have for their, let's say, their individual skills that they had to meet. Well, they've changed those significantly. Right now, there might only be 10 different drop-offs that you have to have. And I know WCTC has the one for carpentry and skills too, right, with the transcript credit. So those opportunities are there. I think people are, either they don't know about it, they don't know about some of the child labor laws, but I think sometimes those kinds of things will help and at least give kids a better opportunity to understand that these jobs are actually out there.
Ryan and Craig, are you guys having trouble getting people in the workforce?
Yeah, our struggle right now is, especially on the entry level side, being able to find qualified applicants. And when I say qualified, they don't have to know anything about the trades, but they have to be dependable. They have to be willing to work hard, be able to work in the climate. And from there, we can teach them and we can get them into an apprenticeship program and go from there. But the issue we have is finding the qualified people. And when we do hire people, it may be 1 or 2 out of 5 that will actually enjoy the trade, want to do the work, and turn out to make it a career of it. But so it's difficult for us because it creates turnover on the entry level side. There's no return on investment for the training when you lose people like that. And just the steep drop off in apprenticeships that we're seeing. I have some numbers with me, and just for example, in plumbing, in 2001 there was over 1,600 plumbing apprentices in the state of Wisconsin, and today there's 429. So we're trying, and we prefer to grow from within, so to find the entry-level people that are willing to work and want to do it as a career, that's really where we're searching, and we're having a hard time with it.
I would agree with that. I think our biggest challenge for my company is finding qualified individuals. They have a willingness to work, but a lot of them have some legal issues in their history, no driver's license, those types of things. And in this day and age, insurance companies are a lot more strict on who you can let drive their company vehicles, so forth and so on. And I think personally a lot of the individuals that were in this industry that left are afraid to come back. They don't know that they're going to have a quality job that'll last. And that in time will heal itself as the market comes back. But they've already gone through this major shift of, okay, now that job's gone, I need to find a new one. I'm not really eager to change again, to go back to have the same thing happen again.
Buzzy, I'll get you just 1 second. Out of curiosity, what's the starting wage for an apprentice coming into your industry?
We have a training program in our company. I think right now entry level is anywhere between $15 to $18 an hour.
Yeah, for a plumber, it's $15.89 an hour in their first year, and by their 5th year, they're at $26.50 roughly.
Do they normally get insurance? They're normally getting health benefits?
Correct.
Now, a high school kid, if I'm not mistaken, though, the way that my kids are, right, they're given $8 an hour, and they can go up as fast as far as they want to from there, but can't we do that exact same thing within the carpentry piece of it, in the trades as well, with some of these high school kids to get them at that earlier age, or are you seeing from a state level or from a law level that we cannot do that?
I can address that. Please. Under Chapter 106 of the state statute, Section 295, the state law says...
That's why he's wearing a tie.
Yeah. The state law says that any apprentice engaged in an apprenticeship program must be at least 18 years of age, or 17 with a parental signature. That's state law. You can't change that. Maybe. The other aspect of it is there are some DOL requirements that do fall into the hazardous duties that are under the DOL, such as climbing on roofs, operating saws, hatchets, machineries that are heavy, driving vehicles, forklifts, all those sorts of things don't have a free pass under the DOL. The other thing I'd like to chime in on is that our biggest challenge, we see the average starting age of an apprentice on our side of the business is between 28, with the average apprentice being 30 years of age. When I started my apprenticeship in I started in 1976, and if you were 24 years old, you could not enter an apprenticeship program unless you were a Vietnam vet. And so now our average apprentice is 30. We have to change that and get a return on investment. The sad part about it is that the qualified applicant, our average high school graduate now that comes to us can't pass the basic math test, and I've got copies here. We don't let them use a calculator, but it's add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and those that would argue we really don't need to know that in our industry, I would challenge you on that one. The other issue as well is the reading is at anywhere between, depending on the demographic, is anywhere in a 6th grade level. Our books are written at 12th to 16th grade level. So although there's never a shortage of people that want to, now we have the obstacle of the individual that academically is not ready, or on a maturity level may not be ready. And if I could just close with this, our young folks today are so keen to all this information that flows around them. And you know what? They believe everything they hear or see on this thing right here. And they will believe nothing that someone that's standing out looking for their best interest will tell them. And the part that, you know, we're certainly in a result of the economy. A number of years ago, 4 years ago, we had 409 carpenter apprentices alone up at our little burg up the road here. 409. We are 1/10 that today. And that's a result of the economy. But we have got traction. We've got work. We've got contractors that are looking for people. We currently have enough of a workforce to man those jobs. We do. But the pool definitely is not what it needs to be. In the old days, we would have a waiting pool of 250 qualified applicants looking to get in. I have 13 today. So the problem is much bigger than a school issue or a, you know, as mentioned before, that people think that a carpenter or a tradesperson is the person you see on Saturday night, that TV show called Cops. Okay, they painted a picture of a transient workforce with less than desirable skill sets, and when we start looking around the room, we all see that we are very professional, successful individuals, and it is a marketing issue as well. So I think it's a threefold problem at least.
Jose, you had something up?
Yeah, let me give you a little bit of insight on a demographic group that I think we really need to pay attention to or be aware of, and that's the Hispanic, because folks, whether you believe it or not, that's where your future workforce is going to come from. Let me just demystify a small portion of it, and then also let me give you some real information. When the word Hispanic is mentioned, more often than not, these thoughts come into people's minds. New arrivals, illegal, can't speak English, and need a lot of social services. And for the majority of people, that's the sum total description of Hispanic. Let me give you some other realities. First of all, there's 52 million of us in the United States right now. We comprise 7% of the U.S. population. And it is growing, and it is growing rapidly because we also happen to be the youngest group in the United States. But what's of more importance to you would be the fact that 64% of the Hispanics are born in the United States. They're born here. So issues of illegality and immigration are not issues to them because they're born here. Also, depending on which age group you're looking at, if you're an Hispanic between the ages of 5 and 17, 86% of them can be holding the conversation you and I are having in English right now. And if you're between 18 and 59, and above 18, 59% of those Hispanics can be having this conversation fully in English. So the concept of new arrivals, yes, it's there, but it's a small group. Can't speak English, yes, it's there, but it's not as big as people think about it. And the other thing also that I want to emphasize is that portion about we are young. Nationally, Hispanics are ranked as 23-year-old average age. But if you take those newborns, the native born, the ones that were born here, their average age is 17 years old. Now, why is that important to you? It's important to you for the following reason. Number one, they're definitely at the beginning of their, or in prime childbearing age. They're going to have lots of kids. And number two, they're also in high school. And they're growing in high school. And that's important for high school teachers, because nationally, and the same thing's already happening in Wisconsin, white high school graduations have either peaked or they're about to plateau. We're not going to have that many white graduates. Interestingly, the growth of high school graduation is going to happen, but it's not going to be from white kids. It's going to be from minority kids. And that's why I'm saying that that's where your future work is. What I'm trying to demystify is the scariness, again, when immediately the focus is new arrivals, I'm going to have all sorts of illegal problems, and by God, I can't even talk to them. When you start to realize that's not necessarily across the board. And I think that that's something that I wanted to deliver as a message. Now, the problem is that because of the ones that are born here, they're also from birth on hearing the same messages about success in this country. And just like we talked about earlier, measure of success is do you have a college degree or not. They're just as susceptible to that same